Hi guys, welcome back to Cynthia's Crossings End of Life Services, a legacy of my mother and her metastatic journey with breast cancer when I was a child. Anyway, all of this, Cynthia's Crossings, is because we can do better. We can do a lot better with end of life and a lot better than it was for our family. Anyway, I'm Christelle Anderson. I'm a former Navy nurse. I'm an end of life doula, and I'm here to just help everyone have a peaceful passing, families and dying. And there's something that we always have to remember. In death, there's no do-overs. We got to get it right the first time. And we can do it, but we got to plan early, years ahead. So today, I'm going to talk about trusts versus wills. Okay? And of course, we always have Ellie. She's our mascot, the elephant in the room, because this isn't something fun to talk about, right? So we've got Ellie to support us. All right, so trusts versus wills. You need to do something. If you do neither, you're going to default to the state. And guess what? The state has a hierarchy. If you die, it doesn't matter if you loved your relatives, hated them, or if they tortured you. If it's the hierarchy, in many states, it goes the person that dies, all their assets will go to their parents or their spouse or their children, and maybe in different orders. First, many states go spouse, then children. Then if there aren't spouse or children, then it goes to parents, and then after that, siblings. So if you don't like these people or they've done you wrong, you better do a will or a trust to get everything in order so that it doesn't default, okay, to what the state thinks is right. So I want to tell you there's trusts and there's wills, okay? Trusts, in my opinion, are much, much better. There's times you want to do a trust, and there's wills are a great supplement to a trust. So trusts are private. Wills are public record. If you want everybody to know your business, do a will. They can get access to what you own, how much money you have. Everything will be public record, and they are a lot easier for relatives to contest. So there can be disagreements with relatives with a will. With a trust, the day you die, the trustee you have named only needs a copy of your trust and a government valid ID and your death certificate, which, okay, it does take a while to get the death certificate. That could take a little while. So they do need that, but then they can access all of your assets. They can sell your house if that needs to be done. They can get into all your bank accounts. And you also need to make this person listed as a beneficiary on all of your things. But if you forget to do that and they're in the trust, that supersedes that. So you'll have a smooth transition in dealing with your affairs for any of your loved ones that you leave behind. That's huge. If you do a will or you do nothing, there's 6 to 24 months of probate where your assets are frozen. That means if you own a home, your home cannot be sold. Your relatives will have to pay for the lawn to be cared for, pay for the house to be cleaned, keep the utilities on, pay the property taxes. That's a dirty trick to leave someone with. So that is what happens if you just have a will. Probate also can take up to 40% of your hard earned assets. If you are like my husband and I, where we scraped and shared a Burger King value meal when we first got married so that we could save for when we were old, so that we could take care of our needs and maybe pay cash for our antibiotics. If you're like that, you don't want 40% of your assets going to the government. So a trust protects all of your assets. They do not go through probate. So all of that hard-earned money goes to the people that you want it to go to. Trusts. Okay, so I went over all assets are frozen with wills. They're easier to contest, but they are good. You should do a will in addition to a trust. They are really good for talking about what you want to go to certain people. Like if you have your grandmother's china, which I hate to tell you, most kids don't want that these days. But if you have that, or if you have medals from your grandfather in World War II, or your anything that's very sentimental and very special, maybe an old carved knife, a knife for carving that your grandpa used, whatever. Anything that's been passed down for generations that does not have any real monetary value should be listed in a will. That's a great supplement to a trust. Trusts, there are many, many types. Too many to get into for this for this video. But a living trust is a great thing. That's what my husband and I have. There's also Medicare or Medicaid trusts that are excellent. I don't know enough about those to speak on them. And then a trust, they recommend if your net worth is like 500,000 or more. But I'm telling you, I think a trust is excellent for anyone, especially if you have children. I'm going to give you a few details about the trust we have, and I'm going to tell you the attorneys we used were excellent. They are all tax trained and licensed tax planning attorneys as well as estate planning attorneys. So they are well versed. We just fell into this luckily through our financial planner. And these attorneys, they call themselves, they are the lawyers for the lawyers. They are licensed in Alabama and in Florida, possibly Mississippi, I am not sure. But I do know that our living trust, and I'm assuming most living trusts, can be honored in all 50 states. And so I'm just going to go over, not the details. Look how huge this is. This is our trust binder. It takes months to complete this. So if you are at the end of life right now, they can work quickly with you, but to get all your things titled and deeded into your trust, it takes a while. So I would start as soon as you can. I am going to say there's, depending where you are in the country, it's a variety of prices. I'm going to say ours was done in 2017. It was around $5,000 to $6,000, and that was with a discount of several $100s because we had attended an educational seminar. Our attorney does these seminars every April free of charge, and if you'd like information on that, you can contact me through my website, cynthiascrossings@gmail.com. So our attorney's name is Ryan Hicks Compton and Compton, and they have offices in Pensacola, Florida, and in Fairhope, Alabama. So anyway, what our trust includes is my favorite thing about it, our attorney is kind of funny. He said, and guess what? You can punish people even from the grave, or maybe not punish, but control. So when we did this, our children were all minors. Now they're adults. And you can put such specific guidelines on when they can access the assets that it's really awesome. So what he recommended, which we followed, we have 3 children. Right now they're 24, 22, and 20. They were all minors. He said, and this is in the trust, if we die, if my husband and I die today, our children will either have to have completed a 4-year degree, or completed 4 years in the military, or completed a 2-year degree and worked for 2 years in their field before they can access 1/10 of their inheritance. And after that, they can have 1/10 per year until they're age 30. And then at age 30, they can have the remainder. But that prevents them from blowing it all at once because so many of us have kids that aren't good with money, and we've scraped and saved so that we could leave something behind. So it really protects them from blowing it, which is wonderful. If you want to designate, say, a charity or a church 10% of your trust, you can do that. There's just a lot more room for specifying instructions in this. Most of it is legalese. We have our home titled into our trust. So when you have a trust, if you are ever sued for any reason, the trust is like a separate entity. So if you're sued and you have your home and all your valuables and all your assets and all your retirement accounts and everything of value to you titled into your trust, then when you're sued, none of that can be touched. It's very, very difficult. So it protects you while you're alive. It protects your assets. It protects your assets from being squandered. And then we have a trustee that we trust with our life, my older brother, to administer the trust if we die. And then you can have a secondary, you can have a third, you can have as many as you want. Now, what came with our trust, which was wonderful, was also our advance directives, our healthcare proxies. All of that is listed in here. I also want to tell you that a trust, it's very important. It's not just a one-time thing. Laws change, relationships change, there may be divorces. I'm sorry, I have to tell you one great thing too. Guess what else the trust can do? We all hope our child will choose a wonderful spouse. But guess what? If they don't, the trust protects their assets. In a divorce, the spouse will not be able to touch any of the inheritance from the trust. So you protect your hard-earned assets that you're leaving your loved child. You protect that from being lost in a divorce from someone that may or may not be a good person. So I love that part too. Anyway, back to the fact that it's not a done deal. You need to go and look at it, change it, update it. For instance, our son, all of our children were minors, but when we recently updated this year, now none of them are minors. So we were able to make our oldest child our healthcare proxy, which was wonderful. And of course, we trust him with our life. So that was great. And that released some of the other people down the line that had the responsibility that were getting older. I'll just go over some of the sections in here. It's huge. And most of it is legalese. Most of it is not specific to us. We have our deeds for our home in here. And if you have other property, you can have that. So we have a section, we have the table of contents. There's a great section that's the summary of everything. So you don't have to go through millions of pages. It's all on one page. It's excellent. We've got a section that's the living trust, which is this big, huge. And this is for my husband and I am his power of attorney. He is my power of attorney. And then if we both die, we go down the line to the other people. We've got the pour over will, which is just, it's required if a person has a trust, and it takes your estate. The pour over will states that if anyone takes your estate to probate, the probate court is to distribute the estate as directed under the terms of your trust. Our trustee, my brother, has a copy of this, and so does, of course, the law office. And then you've got your certificate of the trust and all the documents that come with that. The healthcare proxy power, or it's also called a healthcare power of attorney. We've got our living wills in here, which is just very basic. You do or don't want feeding tubes, heroic measures to be resuscitated, not to be resuscitated. Then we have funding instructions. Once you do your trust, you have to take there's a funding document you have to take to your financial institutions and give them to your bank. It's very important so that when someone tries to activate the trust after you die, the bank has all this information. So it's not a problem for them. And then there's a frequently asked questions section, a legacy plan, and that just talks about funeral planning and things of that sort, which that's another video I'll do. My husband and I are both veterans. We plan to be buried in a veteran cemetery. Funerals, pre-planning those is a great gift you can do for your children, because no one wants to be doing that at the last minute when they're in the middle of grieving. And then our attorney is also specialized in helping with accessing veteran benefits at the end of life, caregiving, and if you need a nursing home and such. They really go into a lot of wonderful details. And so you don't have to use our attorney, but I highly recommend doing this. If you do vacations with your family, I'm just going to say I know people that go on a lot of vacations and spend thousands of dollars, but they have not done this, and they have children. And so I'm just going to say I love everyone, no judgment here, but being an orphan at age 10 and 11, I am way hyper vigilant about this stuff. So no judgment to anyone, but skip a vacation or two. Get your trust done, okay? It'll bring you so much peace of mind. Thank you.